Hello and welcome to Sinfully Fun Games, where we look at the more mature side of gaming. We have a huge list of games that people have sent and requested our review, so we're going to review them and see if any are worth doing full Let's Plays of. The first game we're looking at is Maleficent, Banishment of Evil. Now the actual window for this says Maleficent, Banishment of Evil. And I don't know about you guys, but I think Banishment of Evil is a lot better than Banishment of Evil. But let's jump into it. The story began a long time ago, at the door of a prestigious, educational institute called the Academy of High Magic. And remember, Maleficent, if the teachers complain about you, don't expect support from me. Great. I asked the rector to be as strict with you as possible. When is the best Mother of the Year contest there? If they expel you, it's your own fault. I know you too well. Dear Mother, I am obliged to disappoint you, but nobody complains against me for the time being. I am sure that I will have the highest mark on the entrance examinations. And I believe this game is translated like a lot of the ones we do, so there's going to be a couple of weird things. As an heiress, I think I am indebted to warn you to have no family quarrels, as it adversely affects the reputation of our family, as the teachers will be here any minute. Let us not clear up the terms in the presence of strangers. Stop your tricks. You are a fairy in the 120th generation. You began to conjure in the cradle, of course. Of course you'll pass the exams the best. But with your first spell, you set my dress on fire. At the age of 5, you found somewhere, where I still don't understand, a manual of necromancy, and raised the dead in a cemetery to scare people. Good kid. In 10 years, notations again. You are 21 years old, Maleficent. You have great talent, but what good have you done in your life? Well, at least one example. Bitch, I'm 21. Give me some fucking time. Remember, if you want to be the forest queen, learn to help yourself less and help others more. Otherwise, I will reject all your claims to the neighboring forest. And you know that I have more than tyranny? I feel teachers are coming here. By the way, I'm not going to look for your virginity in taverns and haylofts, or where is it lost? But could you dress more decently at least for the exam? Oh, enough. Good day. We are pleased to announce that your daughter passed her exams brilliantly. I also remind you that we have a closed institution, and we only release students for a month internship in the 3rd year. It's for the best. Strict discipline will do my daughter well. Mom! Don't worry about the horns and wings. I taught Maleficent to disenchant them, so there won't be any troubles of doorways. The problem will be different. You, of course, are accustomed to the fact that fairies are predisposed to goodness by nature. Bullshit. So my daughter has a clear genetic shift. I tried to figure it out. Even took her to the wisest, but no use. Strange. Fairies cannot be an evil creature. It is unscientific. Really? Fucking tell Oberon and the others that. They did some fucking evil shit. Pan, a couple of others. I'm sure that nature will take its toll, and we will be proud that we once taught your daughter. Don't worry, madam. We know how to work with complex personalities. Come with us, young lady. We will escort you to the living rooms. Maleficent, sorry for the notation. I just want you to be well. Mom, what are you doing? We say goodbye for only 5 years. You'll see. I'll become the best on the course. Well, what are you doing, Mom? Maleficent was a rare creature with magical abilities that representative of other races did not even dream of, and learning was easy for her. Okay. It was much more difficult not to upset her mom with behavior. Maleficent's neighbor on the desk was called Dita. Her magical ability showed up at the age of 18, a little late, so she was mediocre in spells. But Dita was a whip smart. No one knew how to craft magic items like her. No one can compare to her in potions. It was she who invented the famous magical feather that recorded the voice of any specified creature, and most importantly, they required very little mana to work. Dita hoped that this invention would make life easier for the unfortunate scribes who spent long hours recording speeches in councils and in courts, fearing to make the slightest mistake. But it turned out differently. The aristocrats instantly realized that it was now cheaper to order the charge of feathers with mana by some magician, and the scribes began to be fired in masses. Dita was terribly worried about that story. Maleficent, who laughed at her friend, but be careful, smart princesses should attract useful allies from their youth, and Dita will obviously be useful. Besides, there was no one else to be friends with. For some reason, other students did not seek friendship with Maleficent. So you can tell this is based off the live-action Maleficent movies. At that time, women's tattoos came into vogue. Maleficent was delighted and immediately made herself a sexy heart in demonic style. But her mother found out about this, and soon our heroine received an angry letter, which said, "If you want to look like a port whore, please, but after my death." Mom was a woman of old school, whose times when a whore could be called for a skirt above the knee. But she didn't want to upset her mother either. In the end, she can live without a tattoo. Maleficent reluctantly began to reduce her charm. There were a couple in love in the halls of the academy. Maleficent also wondered who to put in her bed, who was worthy of it. After careful selection, she focused on 3 candidates. First, the Crown Prince of the Dark Elves, Meneltor, a mediocre wizard, but still a future king. And his parents recently died at the hands of an assassin, and everything worked out just fine. Can you become a queen of the forest and the Dark Elves at the same time? Isn't that a success? The second candidate was a demon, Ahmus. In his freshman year, he slept with all the pretty students except Maleficent and Dita, and even got into the female faculty. And he's talented, even though he was born into a family of simple thugs. Of course, marriage is out of the question in the future. But there is no better candidate for entertainment. And the third candidate was Dita herself. Same-sex relationships in the Maleficent world were not approved and practiced except by perverted races such as dark elves and demons. But Dita once dropped that it's all superstition. Who do you fight against, these prejudices, if not your roommate? So, we have a choice here. This game's dialogue is interesting. I can definitely see why this was sent to me. Let's try each one. At first, things were going well, although the prince was not only mediocre in magic, you understand. Alright, well, the main thing is the throne, and then you have the lovers. Maleficent continued seducing the prince. However, Meneltor, I'm just gonna call him Menel. Menel soon admitted that he was not going to be king. He was frightened by intrigues and assassins. He feared the fate of his parents and wrote a renunciation? He left the throne like a bitch. It was a blow. Maleficent couldn't bear the cowardice and left the prince after a couple of days. They say he got really upset, started drinking, and then ran off and jumped off a cliff. Damn, son. Oh. Wow, this thing is really click sensitive. On the other hand, the Dark Elf Supreme Wizard Lilith, who is the main contender for the throne because of the death of the entire ruling dynasty, sent Maleficent expensive gifts and a friendly letter. That's not bad either. Acting relationship with Lilith +2. In the 3rd year, the best wizard in the world invited Maleficent to their undergraduate internship. Maleficent was interested in 2 proposals. The teacher Liu Bang of the demon race, and the sisters Lilith and Melit of the dark elf race. Where do Maleficent's undergraduates practice? Well, we're going to keep going with the dark elf run. The 2 sisters were great schemers and sorceresses. Maleficent listened attentively to their instructions in alchemy and entropy, but even more interested in Lilith was Lilith's advice on how to achieve power. The sisters got along worse and worse. Lilith claimed the throne, and her younger sister had compromised evidence on the older one. After practicing, Maleficent learned that the youngest of the sisters slipped and fell into a cauldron of snake venom. Of course, accidentally. At the last year of the academy, there was a new subject, portal science, led by a teacher named Ogren, a magician as powerful and famous as he is boring. Why would Maleficent, the future queen of the forest, travel through portals to the other worlds? They are all pale resemblances to her own world. Ronus, and only sorcerers who fail to succeed at home can resettle in them. But for Dita, portal science was her favorite subject. And what was Maleficent's surprise when, on the last day of school, Dita suddenly said she was teleporting and would live in another world? Why is that? Maleficent felt resentment and anger. She was going to be queen, but she couldn't keep her only ally. She's a fairy who should be elevated by her noble deeds, but her only friend doesn't ask for good advice from her. Well, you decided to leave, Dita. You made a very harsh decision about moving. Is it so bad here? Maybe I can help. Why didn't you tell me before? Probably should have taken to her more in the last year to suggest that I, as a queen, would need royal assistance, and that I would appreciate them. I don't want anything from you, Maleficent. I came from a simple family, but I never intended to build a career on the fact that I was lucky enough to be on the same desk as your shining future majesty. I didn't tell you because you wouldn't understand, and you'll laugh like you did with the feathers. Man, Maleficent's a bitch. Yeah, like I'm such a selfish I didn't read this. Yeah, like I'm such a selfish bitch, and I only think about myself. Sometimes Dita can say that shit. Where are you going? And your family? You can't just leave her here, can you? My family died of the plague a year ago, and I told you about it. Shit! I'm going to Earth. There is such a world. There's an industrial revolution out there. Huge steam engines are being built. Technology advances. Great changes are taking place in a decade. And if you could hear the piano music, the piano is such a device. What am I talking about? You're obviously not interested in my Earth story. You're only interested in you and your future glory. Bitch. Yep, I mean, it's pretty clear. It seems she's no use talking her out of it. And she's gonna fuck off to this Earth with these fucking revolutions and pianos anyway. Shit. She was perfect for my advice, and I'm good, too, so dumb about her family. Be careful. By the way, danger in the back. Is it red with horns? Never mind. When he's sober, he's not very dangerous. Girls, well, you don't mind me. I just need to get something to Maleficent. But I'll wait and see the view and everything. Anyway, she's definitely not going to be convinced. It's time to say goodbye. Well, this game exists. What the fuck is the hard way? I'm curious. Dita, you could be my advisor. I could help you with connections. You'd be incredibly successful. And instead you're moving to some... what's her name? Earth? Are there any mages in there? No. Decide to be the best without competition. And you said you weren't jealous. Shut the fuck up. If there's one thing you uncovered in your monologue, it's yourself. I'm genuinely happy to be away from you. I can't imagine what you'll be like in 200 years. Let's see what happens if we pick the other one. Dita, I know I wasn't the best friend. I'm so sorry. I couldn't help you out of moving. But if you want to come back, well, I'll help you. And I'll only remember the good things about you. My speech didn't go well. I'm really sad. Is that you, Maleficent? I don't recognize you. I'm touched. I wish you were the great queen from the bottom of my heart. But please be queen like your mother, because sometimes it feels like you're gonna be the dark lady or something. Let's at least hug goodbye. Maleficent felt confused and sad. If she had been gentle with Dita and spent more time on friendship, who knows? Maybe we wouldn't have to break up. Oh, well, I'm sorry if I made a mess of it. But watching two girls hugging each other is a challenge, if you know what I mean. There's a letter from you, from Mother. What are you doing delivering letters? You know you can get a job after the academy, a better job after the academy. As punishment from the rector. Yesterday we were having drinks with the boys, celebrating the end of school, the plans for life, so, well, I'm punched mug of a nephew of the High Elf King. I can't remember what for. I shouldn't have. I wanted to go after the academy as a mercenary. Now I have to go home. I sense you won't live long. Give me the letter. My mom says she's sick. Don't worry about me. I've lived 3,000 years and planned 3,000 more. Celebrate the end of senior prom properly. And all that, my mom's sick. It's never happened before. So fairies aren't sick, are they? You weren't hungover when you were drunk with us. Sophomore year, you know. I'm trying to forget. Anyway, I'm going home. Please tell the rector to send my diploma home. Explain the situation at the prom without me. Shit, Dita's gone too. The prom without two of the hottest girls is a bit of a bore. Not a prom. Alright, let's say goodbye. I'm worried about my mom. Try not to be a drunk or end your life on the gallows or in a gang war. Good luck with that. This is a weird game. Finally, Maleficent was floating in the sky again. Like when she was a child, she felt fast and soon reached the magic forest, which was near her mother's forest. Now, he's in a state of despair. Of course, the local fairy died a long time ago, but Maleficent will return real magic to this place. All the local people will come to her forest to breathe healing magic air, or perhaps even to hear the wise advice from Maleficent, the younger great. And Dita will be back. And Mom's gonna be fine soon, and she's gonna be flying over, and everything will be fine. But what's that down there? Some kind of alien magic? Well, I'm going to have to go down for 10 minutes and figure out who owns her magic forest. Technically, it's not hers yet, but it's formal. At least she knows exactly how long she's gonna be down there. Well, who's messing around? Come on out with your hands up and don't be silly. I'm the forest fairy. Well, what's going on, my forest? Not your, but mine. It's my forest. What kind of bitch starts a conversation like that? Who is this young creature? Has so much insolence. What kind of misunderstanding is that? Is that chick from Dragon Age? Some ragged witch of the human race? And the pathos of the head of Mage Council? What's the world coming to? Why does every rabble forget his place and yap at the worthy wizards? Maybe long-lost forest for you is the biggest precious vulture. Or are you just an uninvited guest who wants to test my hospitality? Your hospitality? It's not your forest. And whose? For a month I came to your world through a portal. Fleeing from the Templars and the Riders, the council came to and introduced itself as it should. I said that I wanted to live alone in a forest. My name is Morrigan. And after a long discussion, the head of the council offered me this forest of magic, the idea of living in a forest, but the importance of being king was like better. What even is this? This is so crazy. However, if it's possible that this bitch does not lie, Mother has long said that the council of the wise has turned into the council of the fools. Why she left 500 years ago. Well, what do you do with that cheeky little upstart? Alright, so we got a couple of different things here. To explain, the forest of magic is ruled by fairies. Have you ever ruled the magical forest before? Of course not, because there's nothing like that in other worlds. The trees radiate special magic that can inspire and heal, but only if the forest is ruled by a fairy. Otherwise, the trees radiate different energy, and vampires and necromancers roam around the forest to become stronger, and a lot of people try to take on the role of fae. No one could, not even the best of the high elves. It's genetic, you know. That's why I want you to do good karma for trying, but try something else. I hear the tavern next to the forest needs waitresses. Oh, and funny you're. That's funny you. That's what your mother told the council. Exactly. You're Maleficent? She wanted to give you forest. I think it's all a ruse to deceive other creatures. There's no way that woman only winged with horns can do that magic. I'm sure I can do the same. Unlike you, I'm not a young girl, and I have gained a lot of experience in my travels. Besides, the council provided me with the ancient books. I will master the science of the forest management. And you can look for another forest. The nearest one is 4,000 miles away. It's 3 times smaller than that, but you have to start somewhere, right? Tell you what, dearie. Either you shut your mouth right now and go through that portal for good, or there's going to be a brutal murder right here. This forest will be mine, and neither visiting bitches nor idiots on the council will change that. It's a shame, so young and not even very bold. She could live and live. Don't you want to apologize? Well, don't be afraid. You'll die quickly without suffering. As soon as I'm done with you, I'll take care of your mommy. I can handle with horned witches. You'll both know whose you've crossed. At the beginning of the fight, Maleficent thought she was going to die. With Morgan as the stronger, more experienced, and more calculator. For her, it wasn't her first fight, but Maleficent dodged the attack, fluttering like a bee. Buzz, buzz. Anyway, she was rescued by her wings. But then the mind became clear, and she carried out a series of confident attacks. The Morgan has less mana. She gets tired. She's not so strong, this countryside. Just have to hold a little longer. And finish her. But there's one forbidden spell that students have been teaching behind their backs from faculty. It'll rip this bitch to shreds. Damn. And then Morgan made an unexpected move. She only spent the rest of the mana on one spell. But what? Turning into a giant spider, she proved virtually invulnerable. And Maleficent has tried needlessly to pierce the shell of this creature. Left without mana, She was powerless to writhe around the spider and was forced to retreat. What a shame. What do now? How to tell Mother that this disgraceful episode, the forest fairy couldn't beat this some bitch? From her childhood, Maleficent firmly understood that her mother is the greatest sorceress that can be compared only to the wisest. And the two of them will kick that bitch, the Morgan, back to her home world, and the council will clean up. We'll have to be honest without losing the fight, but Mom will scream, forgive, and realize, as always. What is that now? Weirdly, Mom sits on the throne without moving. Mom, what's wrong? I don't feel well. I can't take off. Don't worry, it'll get easier. Got your diploma? What, a diploma? Yes, I got it. Let me take you home. Maleficent did not remember dragging her mother home. At first, she claimed that everything would be fine, but soon it became silent. She could not even speak. Even Miko can speak, though. What's wrong with her? The forest fairies do not get sick, ever. And although Maleficent was skilled at healing, she didn't even know where to start. Mom died last night. No big funeral. Maleficent just asked a couple of forest creatures to help with the burial. That's all. She can't trust anyone. Can't be trusted, 'cause Mom was poisoned. Maleficent did her autopsy and found an unknown but extremely dangerous poison. The forest creatures couldn't remember who Mom was talking to lately, but without them, it's clear. The Morgan. What did she say? As soon as I'm done with you, I'll take care of your mother. I can handle witches with horns. First, I have to get even with Morgan, and then I have to get even with the council who gave the bitch my home ownership. Maleficent was the sole heiress of the Forest Kingdom, and even the council sent her full approval for her title after 10 pages of condolences. The same letters came from kings of high elves, dark elves, demons, men, and even orcs. Maleficent answered in absentia, but her thoughts were elsewhere. How to destroy Morgan. A duel is not an option, at least not yet. An official investigation is not even funny, considering the council is supporting that bitch. The Forest Queen doesn't have an army. She just doesn't need to attack anyone. And even the worst villain won't think of attacking a magic forest, except for Morgan and her minions. And then Maleficent decided to raise an army of monsters. She got a magical gift for commending animals. So let's see how Morgan will be eaten by a pack of monsters. So Maleficent began to subdue dangerous monsters and place them in her forests. It was easy. Miko! Do you want me to use this? Hush. So hopefully it caught everything. We had a bit of a hiccup with the recording. It was easy, really, and new troops works, excellent appetites, and ate local animals, but nothing. We have a temporary war, so the forest nation will have to endure. The problem is was that Morgan knew exactly what they were preparing for in the nearby forest. And she also controlled the monsters. She, of course, was only human, without innate talents of a fairy. But in her forest, there were swamps with such horrors that Maleficent had to hassle to the ends of the world to find these. The two sorcerers' secret struggle continued for decades. Neighboring kingdoms regularly complained about monsters and hired witchers, but that didn't help. The forests were getting more dangerous. Living next to the magic forest used to be a gift, but now everyone moved away from the two forest queens and their creepy possessions. 50 years later, the Council of Mages was held. Maleficent was invited. They discussed how to fight the great necromancer, debate the rights of the orcs, among other things touched upon the theme of the forest. The question was asked, why did the monsters in the forest spread, and when will it end? It'll end when there's only one queen left in the forest. It's a pity these fools and scoundrels can't be told the truth to their faces. Morgan, what a mean and hypocritical bitch, justified herself by saying that there were different flora and fauna in her homeworld, so she's learned a lot and makes a lot of annoying mistakes. So how can our heroine be justified? So we have right here another save. So we're going to go a little longer with this one. These are going to be longer episodes, of course. Some of them are going to have multiple stuff, some of them are not. Lie about the scientific experiment. Dear colleagues, you accuse me of making my forest a haven for monsters, but who will take care of these creatures of nature, if not the forest queen? All over the world, these animals are being hunted. Let them stay with me for a while. I'll find them a new home, away from sentient races. Not that the council believed it, but rather everyone decided not to go into detail. Especially since problems there were more serious. The Dark Queen elf, Lilith, got into a fight with a high demon over constant skirmishes between the two nations and their common borders. The wisest had to use all of his authority to appease his opponents. Maleficent was temporarily forgotten. The arms race continued, and Maleficent's army was repleted with monsters beyond Morgan's imagination. A decisive battle and a long-awaited victory were coming. However, in the native forest, the animals were scattered and the trees began to dry. At the borders began to settle all kinds of bad things. Vampires, werewolves, and other ghouls sent gracious letters with proposals for unions, outrageous proposals for a decent sorceress. The final blow was the departure of the forest from the forest of magical creatures whom Maleficent had been playing with as a child. Traitors. Wait, we take care of Morgan, bring life back to the forest, and you'll regret losing your friendship with the great Maleficent. But that bitch Morgan seems to realize that her monsters can no longer match Maleficent's army. She then allied with numerous orc tribes. Some would say she had promised them gold, new land, and her support for centuries, only to help them defend themselves against the evil witch, who will soon attack from the neighboring forest kingdom. Maleficent's army could not compete with the orc hordes, so it too began to look for allies. But there were problems with the search. The great kings, who had just recently invited Maleficent's mother to visit, politely refused to negotiate with her heir, but there were two options. First of all, it was possible to befriend the northern barbarians. These tribes of people are very numerous, can fight, and almost not know how to use magic. An alliance with skilled sorcerers would be very helpful. She just has to think of where to put up all this wild military after the victory, because a noble queen shouldn't be with such barbarians. Second, she can go with the high elves. Their king is old, no heirs, and the dream of the nobles of marrying their lord to some from the outside, lest marriage strengthen one party. You know what? I'm gonna go like 5 more minutes and I'm gonna call it, because this is not interesting to me. It's an interesting game. The translation's certainly interesting, but you're just using Maleficent's name at this point. But there's only civilized people who still agree to do business with Maleficent. As for marriage, when she wins, she can always get divorced. The High King received the Forest Queen with honors. The nobility, this is also supposed to be a, adult game. Nobility was on cloud 9 from her, and Maleficent willingly told how the evil witch, Morgan, plotted against her. That the Council of Mages was no longer the same, and that the nature of his world could only be saved by the wise High Elves. Maleficent herself was convinced that that was the case. Well, almost like that. In the end, the king promised to send 500 elven knights to the war with Morgan. 500 elven knights. That was the sexiest thing Maleficent had ever heard. Her gratitude knew no bounds, and although the old king, had obvious male problems, he felt young again that night. After completing all the formalities, Maleficent flew to her forest on the business as the king's bride. That's when she learned that the king, after the tumultuous night, had a heart problem, which caused him to die. After that, the elves became deeply involved in the proceedings, which they now ruled, and there was no question of military assistance on their part. Effeminate, pointy ears, impotent, the great nation is falling apart because the old king fucked his fiancée. Okay. And that grieving bride who decided to marry without love for the glory of elves, no one's help. Of course, these elves only say noble words, but they only think of themselves. One good thing, according to intelligence reports, Morgan and the orcs didn't get along either, and they say she talked to them too arrogantly. Anyway, things are back to normal. True, the forest's already empty, and the monsters of the two wizards have either starved to death or fled in search of new habitats. Maleficent's horde of hungry and fleeing predators couldn't be brought together. And then she decided to stop hoping for an army, for allies, for someone to help in this cruel world. You can only hope for yourself. The protracted conflict with Morgan has taught Maleficent patience, and now she has decided not to rush into practicing magic until her innate abilities ensure an easy victory. The years have been shaped into decades that have evolved into centuries. Maleficent wandered into the dead forest, singing increasingly destructive spells. She practiced from morning to night. Permitted magic or forbidden magic, Maleficent didn't care as long as it was effective. She had no contact with the outside world. No one wrote to her either, much less anyone risked entering the magic forest. The only place her servants flew was the nearby forest to spy on Morgan. Why is Palpatine here? Over time, Maleficent realized that her power had multiplied many times over. Then she began to seek out enemies to test her powers. The first thing that went wrong was a little something. But over time, Maleficent felt confident in her powers and began to look for and then challenge the great vampires and necromancers to a duel. None of them held out more than 15 seconds. And that's when Maleficent realized that Morgan had no chance. It's time to send the bitch a call to kill her. Except out of spite, the paper ran out. Not to send a challenge to your enemy by pumping the letters on bark. She'll have to fly to the shop next door to get some stationery. Maleficent hadn't been out in public for 100 years, and suddenly realized that she was lacking in companionship. Morgan is going to die soon, which means it's time to change your life, to beautify the magic forest, to renew diplomatic contacts, to establish relations with neighbors. And a visit to the nearest town for a paper is an excellent excuse. She can visit the aristocrats there, maybe have a party or something. Or maybe someone will turn up for bad fun. Maleficent sure missed. Dear Mistress Maleficent, I was sent to inform you that, the city's closed. Don't think of anything wrong. We have this mourning of the cousin of our burgomaster who died 2 years ago, and the economic crisis and the quarantine. He'll come back in 50 years. I'm sorry, but I'd like to buy a piece of paper. It's on it if you want details. I have money. I think if you're having a crisis. As for the quarantine, I don't get sick, and I don't get infected. Out of the way, please, I insist. It's a clusterfuck. They barely let people into the city. They're walking around. What kind of game am I? crazy house. I'll read the bulletin board and see if I can figure out what's going on. Be careful, Wicked Witch. Fellow citizens, remember that next to our city is a sinister forest. It hosts the terrible, though outwardly witch Maleficent. Her mother was a sorceress of kindness and helped people, but the daughter, as the intelligent people say, killed her mother. The magic forest poisoned with evil magic. Feast with the world, bathe in the blood of newborn children. Wants to kill us and all and enslave us. If you see Maleficent, you run, Burgomaster. So that's what they think I am. I did do something bad to them. Did I do something bad to them? Did I ask them to settle next to my forest, which is temporary? Temporary. Can't understand. Problems? You know what? We're going to leave it there. So, this game is very interesting. I couldn't make it to an hour. I'm sorry. The dialogue is very, very interesting. Maybe the creator of this wants to hire somebody to help him punch up the dialogue and stuff. I do like the outfits in the game. They're very pretty. The look of the game is very interesting. But I don't feel like it's really Maleficent and stuff. If you guys do want to try this game out, you can. I'm going to see if I can find the Patreon link for the creator of this. We'll see. This was sent to me without that, unfortunately, so I'll have to look for it. Thank you all for checking out my video, and I'll see you next week for another Sinfully Fun Games. If you guys want to see more indie file cases, let me know. Also, check out my Twitch, where I live stream a lot during the week, so you can come and watch lots of fun. I also have some other channels, Sinfully Pure, which is an archive channel for my live streams, and Miko's Corner, which has cute little pet videos. I'll see you guys next time, and don't forget to check out our shop where you can get a waifu pillow. Bye, guys.